Hello, and welcome to Riding into History. Today, I will be talking about Jumonville, Glen, a national park located in the mountains of southwestern Pennsylvania. This spot may not be as well known as other parks like Yellowstone, but its significance had ramifications heard around the world that linger to this day. The year is 1754. England and France were the two superpowers of the day, and both were vying for control of the Upper Ohio Valley, which consisted of Western Virginia, which today is West Virginia, Eastern Ohio, and Western Pennsylvania, extending into the Great Lakes region. Both countries were no stranger to each other in this part of the world, and would often come into contact with each other to let the other know they had laid claim and to leave the area. Sometimes the encounters were peaceful, and other times they were not. The British had a fort by the name of Fort Pitt on the forks of the Ohio, where present-day Pittsburgh stands today, which was recently attacked by the French, destroyed, and replaced by Fort Duquesne. The governor of Virginia, Robert Dinwiddie, had tasked a young 22-year-old lieutenant colonel by the name of George Washington to instruct the French to vacate the area because it belonged to England. Washington led a group of 40 men, 12 Indians led by the half-king Tanach Harrison, and 35 regulars. Regulars was the term used for British foot soldiers. Washington was encamped at a place called Great Meadows, where present-day Fort Necessity stands today. I will talk about Fort Necessity in my next video. About 7 miles away from Great Meadows, the Indians had alerted Washington that there was a small French encampment in a wooded glen. On the morning of May 28, 1754, Washington was just upon the French group of 35 troops on a damp morning as they were setting up for their morning meal. Washington was unsure of the French forces' intentions. Were they there as diplomats for peace, or spies to gain knowledge of British forces and encampments? The French force was led by Joseph Coulon de Jumonville. As Washington proceeded to surround the French to determine their intentions, when the unthinkable happened. As the British were firing down upon the French attempted to make their way further down the hill to make an escape, but were met by the Indian allies of the British and were forced back up the hill to their previous campsite. The encounter only lasted about 15 minutes, but would have ramifications the world over for many years to come. When the fighting stopped, 13 French troops were laid dead and 21 wounded or captured. Among the dead was the French leader Jumonville. One lone French soldier escaped and made his way some 50 miles to Fort Duquesne to tell his superiors what had just happened. There was a quote from George Washington after the battle stating, "I unfortunately escaped without any wound, for the right wing where I stood was exposed to and received all the enemy's fire, and it was the part where the man was killed and the rest wounded. I heard the bullets whistle, and believe me, there is something charming in the sound." End quote. The French later claimed that they were attacked without cause, and the British countered by saying, "If you were here on a peaceful mission, then why were you hidden down in a rocky glen out of sight?" To this day, no one knows which side fired that first fateful shot. I thank you for listening, and I hope you enjoyed this short presentation. If you like this, please hit the like button. If you want to see more videos, please hit the subscribe button. And my hope is to visit national parks all around the country doing short videos and showing America and hopefully the world what we have to offer here in our national park system. Thank you and have a good day.